week 28 of 28 weeks countdown to the end of the year. And it's the most insufferable month of the year. I'll just leave that there. I wanted to add, yesterday was Pentecost Sunday, and my wife went to afternoon church, and it was the day of the month where they go to the local shopping mall, and they evangelize and sing songs and talk to people, approach people, just as we're supposed to. And my wife came home really excited. She's always excited about that. She loves that. But she approaches people. I mean, she started approaching people when she became a Christian right away, and really talking to her life. It's a part of who she is. I mean, she was spiritual before, but now she just has so much enthusiasm about being a Christian and very excited. And it's funny, she's told me stories where they come and they approach people very gently here when people are walking in the streets, and while they're singing, they approach people to evangelize and to talk to them about God. And she says she's had a couple people, not many, but a couple people get very angry with her and walk away. I don't need this. Or you have farang or foreigners standing next to the group while they're singing, complaining, why are you doing this to a Buddhist country? Why are you doing this? Why are you doing that? And she says she's had people get angry with her, and to me, my wife is the most disarming person there is. She's the most gentle. If you've ever met her, she's the most gentle, kind person I have ever met. I've never seen her angry. And if she gets angry, it's because I deserve it. If she gets angry with me, I'm immediately convicted, because it's very unusual for her to get angry. And I mean, we're talking like once a year, and I'm annoying. I can be annoying. I know I can, but I'm convicted immediately, and I apologize if I know I took something too far. And so I'm thinking, for someone to get angry at my wife so quickly, I mean, that's demons. That's bad spirits. And that person's got some troubles, because someone you get angry at, she's got that personality that people just love. People are drawn to her. Very friendly. She's the most adorable person that I know. So, I mean, you've got problems if you get angry at my wife. But anyway, she was really excited yesterday. She spoke to a few people. And one lady started crying when she approached her to talk about God and to ask her if she could pray. And the lady started crying, and she was so, she just started praying for her. I get thrown off when people walk by. I'm still not used to doing this in public. But the lady started crying, said she doesn't have time for God, and she was so happy that stopped to pray for her. I mean, she said she's never had anyone pray for her, the stranger, and the lady was crying. I mean, she's just so excited when she comes home, and then if someone does get angry with her, she's like, oh, that's kind of their problem with God, not me. She doesn't take it personally. She's something in the news recently. Thailand is has some conflict at the Cambodia border. I don't know what's going to happen with that. I just heard that there was some news that a soldier was killed in some type of shootout of some sorts. I don't know the details, but I hope that doesn't escalate. We've got enough wars in this world. And then the other news is that Thailand is, I mean, it doesn't affect me, but Thailand is looking at becoming more controlled about their cannabis and the marijuana that they sell here. I mean, when the cannabis laws lifted, I mean, I've got 4 or 5 cannabis stores that opened up in the same week, and every other week there's a new one popping up. Cannabis coffee, cannabis brownies, cannabis smoke weed. I mean, there's like 4 or 5 of them just on my block alone. And it just became crazy. I mean, that's what you smell everywhere you walk now. So I recently heard that they're going to try and to become more strict. So you can only order like 30 grams of it, and it's got to be prescription. The problem is in Thailand is they come up with these laws and then they don't have anything ready to implement. So it creates a lot of confusion. So before you react, it's better to just wait and see what the law actually means and what the procedures are before you respond. Otherwise, you're just going to be running in circles because it's not consistent with. They don't have they make a law and then they think about, oh yeah, how are we going to make this work? So it happens over and over and over with laws here. So you just have to take them with a grain of salt. I think those are some of the big things for this week. So just kicking off this week good. Not much work at the office. I'm just kind of putzing around and preparing some things for transition. My transition into retiring, ending my job by the end of December. And then I'm just making a plan, so I have something that looks pretty well thought out to present to my boss. So anyway, let me stop there, get a shot of the train going by. I really get discombobulated when people walk by. I'm just not comfortable speaking when people are this close to me. I'm still very self-conscious of this. Oh yeah, so one other thing that was monumental. So yesterday I posted I scheduled five videos on YouTube to be posted every week. So I'm scheduled with videos to be posted until August 9th. Really excited about that. I went on a video spree of making these countdowns and these lists of videos. Very poor, some of them poor quality. I'm an amateur, but I posted them yesterday and they're scheduled out one a week until August 9th. And I'm going, because I don't have time to do more than that while I'm working. And so I'm just going to be doing, so I have one posted every week, and then I'm going to post, on top of that, I'm going to post a compilation of my clips throughout the week of my countdown to retirement. So this is a countdown to retirement. This is Troy's winding down chronicles of an expat going into early retirement. I'm not retired yet, but I'm getting there, and it's coming soon. I can smell it. It's coming soon, and I'm excited. I'm scared. I'm uneasy. You know, it's a big unknown, especially for income. I'm on a modest budget, so I'm gonna have to make ends meet. I'm not sure how that's gonna work, but I have to be right. I just have to make it work. God will make it work. All right, everybody. God bless. Take care. Hey, what's up, everybody? It's June 11th. It's a Thursday. No, it's a Wednesday. Tomorrow's a Thursday. It's a Wednesday. It's a little after 1 o'clock. Right down here at Silom. Just thought I would just do a little video. I didn't show you a little bit of the road here, what it's like around 1 o'clock. It's at 12:30, 1 o'clock in the afternoon. So kind of busy with people going to and from work or to and from lunch. I just picked up a coffee. I thought they had a daily special. I thought this coffee place had a daily special, buy one get one free, but it's only Tuesday and Thursday for some reason. Anyway, I bought a cappuccino anyway, just because I'm here. Yeah, well, I didn't do a video yesterday, but I wanted to do one now. I've been reading 2 Kings 7, 8, 9, and 10. Chapters 7, 8, 9, and 10. It's a mess, you know. It's I struggle getting through it because there's so many kings, and the stories are written rather weird. You know, it emphasizes strange things. But what I'm able to extract from it is, you know, basically still just people. It's a lot of killing. It's a lot of intrigue. It's a lot of sabotage, and you know, you see this history of Israel that's just a mess. You know, and it's just making the case for God and Jesus to come. But the verses The story I picked up out of, there's a lot of stories within these chapters, but the stories that I picked up today were, there's some club over there called Bipolar. I don't know what that means. But over there, that road over there is the start of the red light district here. A lot of gay bars in there. I only discovered that because one of my colleague is gay, and we were at some of his parties there sometimes, or some of his little get-togethers. So anyway, the biggest takeaway story I can extract from Kings right now, Jezebel finally met her demise. The wicked queen or whatever that was married to Ahab, who was probably arguably the most wicked king Israel ever had, at least up to that point. And Jezebel, his nasty wife. I don't remember the origins of her, but apparently she did come from outside. She did marry into the flock there, but she was just a nasty woman. Really, she brought idol worship, she brought deception, she brought sexuality. She's really the reason why they brought the prophets of Baal, and that people even worshipped Baal. So Jehu, I won't go into any of the genealogy because I don't quite understand it, but Jehoram, I think, was the king. He was the descendant, he was a son of Ahab, who was already killed, and the queen, or Jezebel, was still alive, his mother. And then Jehu came along, and I guess he was anointed by God to destroy all the kin of Ahab. God told him to destroy everything, all the descendants, everything, because they were just wicked. And he did that, and then the people recognized him as the rightful king, and Jehoram ended up being killed by a God incident. He was randomly struck during battle. He was struck with a bow, and says that he died on his chariot. But when Jehu came into the people ended up declaring him God, or not God. They didn't declare him God. They declared him king, but he was doing what God wanted him to do, and he was riding into the city, and Jezebel, it says she painted her face. I don't know why that's important, but she started taunting him from outside the window. She's taunting him, mocking him. I guess because she found out that he had killed Jehoram and all of the descendants that were coming after her. But she was just so wicked, she cut her nose off to spite her face. So she taunted him outside the window, and then he called up to the people that worked for her, and they immediately recognized him as king. They said they were eunuchs. They were her eunuchs. I think those are people who are castrated and then become servants. They're castrated so that they're not tempted to do anything wicked or any sexuality within the... they're not supposed to have any temptation of sexuality. So I might be botching this, I don't know. But the gist is the people were probably so sick of her that when Jehu called up and told her people to kill her, they threw her out the window, and she fell to her death. And then after she died, I think Jehu told the people to go and get her remains to bury her. But by the time they got there, the dogs had already eaten her, almost her entire body, except for her palms, her feet, and her hair, something like that. And so she ended up being cursed. That was the curse that God had, Elijah had inflicted on her before. Elijah, the prophet, many years before, I don't know how much time it was passed, But he prophesied that Ahab and Jezebel would die, and that the dogs would consume their bodies. They wouldn't even have the proper burial because they were just so wicked. So I think the lesson, one of the lessons before I go too long, the lesson is you can't outrun God and you can't outrun His judgment, and you can't live a dichotomous life. So Jehu wanted to get rid of all of the evil of Ahab and Jezebel, and that's what he did, because he wanted to do what's right in God's eyes. I think things changed for Jehu. I think he ends up succumbing to evil later, but I'll find that out in the next few chapters. But I think that's reflective of our own life. You cannot live a double life. And I remember, when I think about some of my most miserable times in my life, I was living a dichotomous life. Secret, you have secrets and you're sinning, but you're also trying to follow God. It doesn't work. You need to purify yourself. God needs to purify you, and you need to ask for forgiveness, and you need God to expose your sins. So you just want to try to you want to ask God to give you guidance and to forgive you for your sins, and then try to walk righteously. Walk righteously, not try, just walk righteously. So I probably botched up that summary, but it is confusing. So anyway, I need to get back. So I found out today that one of the reasons why they're fighting on the Cambodia border is they're fighting over. It's a feud over an ancient temple. So that's what they're, and some soldier on the Thai side was shot by a Cambodian soldier, and I think that's why they are fighting. And I wanted to give an update on the credit card challenge last week. So I succeeded. The only time I used my credit card was to go eat lunch with my wife, and I think she used it for something, but there was no excess spending. I tried to really reduce my spending keep it under a certain threshold. I prefer to try to keep it under 40,000 baht if possible every month. So I'm almost there. I might slightly go over. The cycle of my credit card ends tomorrow, but I probably will work from home tomorrow, so I need to get a couple of things for the weekend. So unfortunately, I'm going to have to go use my credit card today or tomorrow, because I'm going to work from home on Friday. But it's just a few small things just to make sure we have for the weekend. But the credit card challenge really is, it's fun to do. It prevents me from being too spontaneous or stocking up on things that I don't really need yet. But I will make a few purchases. I need to replenish my meat inventory into my freezer, and the place that I'm working, the place Paleo Robbie, where I buy my food now, is having a special, and I'm going to order some of that on Friday when I'm in the new credit card cycle, and hopefully next month I'll be able to keep it down again. Hopefully. It's hard when I come off of the cycle, when I'm, after coming back from Laos or traveling a little bit. I tend to spend a little bit more than I care to. So anyway, I'll let it go there. Credit card challenge. Try to keep your expenses low, and have a good day. Hey everybody, how's it going today? Today is June 12th. It's a very sunny day here in Bangkok. I am quiet quitting. I'm working from home. I'm working, but I'm taking a little break. It's a little less, it's easier just being home, being able to come down into the pool, get a little sun, get a lot of sun right now. It's very cloudy, so it only comes out periodically. You can see the clouds up there. Yeah, I know you probably like, wow, clouds. Anyway, it's fun when you can enjoy them and not have to be sitting in an office. This week has been pretty brutal, just sitting in the office. just I'm mentally checking out. But I've been reading the last 4 days, I'm in 2 Kings, and I've been reading the last chapters, 2 Kings 12, 11, 12, 13, and 14. So it's messy. You know, I'm trying to, I don't think it's that important to understand exactly the chronological order of kings and stuff, but I mean, to get the stories and extract the stories, and I'll probably get all the names wrong, but I think the one story that stands out, or there's actually two. So, you know, you had that evil reign of Ahab and Jezebel that came to an end. Jezebel ended up being killed by her own people. And then for their daughter, Athaliah, named herself queen, I guess queen or king. And then she was evil, and she wanted to destroy any remnants of kin from any kind of competition she had from the other family. There was another lady, Jehoiada, I think. She saved one of the young boys from being killed, Joash, and she hid him in the temple. Athaliah didn't know anything about it, and 6 years later, Jehoiada presented Joash to one of the high priests or something, saying he's the rightful heir to the throne, and they recognized him as that. It's funny how you can hide a boy for 6 years and nobody know about it. And so they recognized him as the rightful heir to the throne, and then they made the announcement, and then Athaliah, the evil woman, they said she was running through the temple saying, treason, treason. That's how I imagine her doing it. Treason, treason, like the Wicked Witch of the West or something. Oh, my little bitty. So, I think the people were very happy to have this new king, even though he was 6 years old. Could you imagine being king at 6 years old? And they killed Athaliah, and then they killed all of her kin to destroy any kind of remnants of evil. Just a lot of them. Really nasty. I can't imagine something like, well, I guess that stuff kind of does happen these days. You look at all these wars, it's just ridiculous. You know, I don't understand how you can mobilize a whole group of people to do something so nasty. So anyway, I guess that it was allowed. You know, you had to eradicate sin. But I think the story was, you know, really kudos to Athaliah for saving the boy when he was young. You know, she probably put her life on the line. You know, and I think you need to preserve, and kudos to all those people who do go out of their way to preserve, to save babies and keep them from being slaughtered, innocent lives being slaughtered. And then the last story I read was about Elisha. He died. He did something with Joash. Joash didn't fulfill Elisha's wish to strike the ground with spears 6 times. He told him to do it 6 times. Elisha told him to do it 6 times. He only did 3 times. Elisha gets mad, and then basically prophesies, okay, you're only going to defeat Syria 3 times because you were supposed to do it 6 times. You didn't do it 6 times. And then Elisha dies from a sickness. It's very quick. I mean, these stories are very quick. There's no not much background, so you have to let your imagination or God speak to you through these stories. And then Elisha dies. They bury him, and then later they bury another man next to they bury another man in the same cave as Elisha, and the dead man touches the bones of Elisha, and he comes back to life. Very, very bizarre. I don't know if we know the name of the man. I don't think they gave the name of the man, but I think that's part of the story I extract from that. It's just leaving a legacy. You know, you can leave a legacy of death, or you can leave a legacy of life. And Elisha was a prophet. He followed God, and he left the legacy of life. And his dying gave life, or continued to live, through another man who would have died otherwise. You know, and that could be symbolic to anything we do in our life. You know, how do people remember you? Do people remember you for doing good and well and being a godly person? Or are they going to remember you for evil, death, and not really care? You might be gone. I think we all have an opportunity to leave a legacy. You know, it does make me think of my own failings and how, you imagine you might not have a lot of friends and a lot of people that might not care about you. But I think what do they say? You can know the legacy by your funeral. How many people show up for your funeral? I don't know, something like that. Anyway, love the ones you're with. Try to love them, let them see. Be a good person. Love God, honor God, and He will allow your legacy to live on if that's so be it. If that's how it is, or if that's how He wants it to be. So today I got notice from my bank, same commercial bank. I have two banks, same commercial bank and Krungsee Bank, and I use both of them. I transfer money in between both of them. CB is my main one. That's when I receive my salary in. And then I use the other one kind of as a savings and pay for certain bills. But I just got notice from Sam Commercial that they're not, the exemption that they gave to expats for needing face recognition is waived. It's gone. It's canceled. I didn't even know that they had that. Krungsee, I have to go in every couple months to show my passport, I think, just to make sure I am who I am and part of their security. But CM Commercial just told me they're canceling the waiver for needing to have that for expats working here. You know, mine's legit. You know, I opened up my bank account through work because we had they wanted to consolidate it into the same commercial bank just to make transfers easy. But with no notice. I mean, it was like a 3-hour notice. So I'm not sure what I'm supposed to do. It's just a notice. Okay, you're not exempt anymore from facial recognition to use your app for certain transactions. So please go to, I think I'm supposed to go to a local branch and then update my account with my passport. I don't get it. I mean, I'm telling you, so it's just something to think about before you come here. The banking system, don't think you're going to be able to open up a bank account easily and maintain that and have liberties that you might have in wherever you're from. But it's just, you know, they changed the rules on you overnight. And this just makes me concerned about, I'm not sure what I'm going to do when I actually leave Thailand. Next year when I do stop working, I'm not sure what's going to happen because I should get some pretty significant payouts of my Provident Fund, or what they call, probably the equivalent of a 401k, my final pay, and then probably a severance package. So it will be a considerable amount, so I got to figure out, I have a little time, but it's just one of the things I need to think about because I don't know if they're going to let me keep my bank accounts beyond my work. I don't know if I'll have to keep a certain balance, and then you always risk of them freezing it for some reason, you know. And if I'm living in another country, sure, I could probably cross the border, but it's still just an added inconvenience, and I'd rather have the money here in Thailand than in Laos. and because I'll have to convert it, and I don't want to convert it. The Thai baht is relatively strong, especially compared to the baht, but it's going to be a good amount of money that I just don't want to convert it and lose money that way. Anyway, so it's just something I'm just gonna have to figure out and find out, and also I have 2 credit cards here in Thailand, which I love to use. They're local, I get good rates, good service. Well, actually my credit cards in the US are actually, I get better kind of point system and credit and easier to use. So I mean, worst case scenario, I end up using that, but then you're dealing with conversions, but whatever. So I need to figure out if my credit card, if I'll continue to be able to use my credit cards and even my bank accounts beyond the end of the year when I should be leaving my job. So I need to go figure that out. Anyway, it is what it is. It's what I got to do. I got to do it, so I just do it. And I just did some work this morning. I did a workout. I did my back, and I'm looking forward to being back in Laos and working out in a real gym, like a better gym, and just spending my days at home. My wife talks about that. She's like, we'll just live simply. I really expect our first year to be low key. I don't, and I'm happy for that. I think the biggest thing we'll probably have to do, we might have to do something on the house. I don't know. I'm not sure what we're going to do with all the people living there right now. Yeah, somewhat one of her nieces laying on the floor in the living room. It's like her bedroom, but she's not there only to sleep. And then the boy is sleeping on the floor in my office when I'm not there, but then he sleeps outside in the hut when I am there. I don't know what we're gonna do. We might have to make another room at some point. I'm not sure. I'd like to buy more land, but I hate to dip into my savings as soon as I stop working. I really don't want to do that yet. I think I need another year unless something extraordinary happens with the market. But the other biggest thing we'll probably have to do is buy a car. I know my wife is going to be itching for that when we get back. I mean, it's just there's something exciting for her about having a new car. I don't know what kind of car we're going to get or how much it's going to cost, but Laos is pretty expensive with those kind of things. I'd like to try to buy used if I can, but I do want to buy something that's solid and good for at least 10 years. The heat really kills cars here, so the sun, and you really have to try to keep it out of the sun. But I'm expecting that she's going to be jonesing for that immediately, I'm sure. And I'm going to delay it as much as possible because right now we're borrowing a car from her parents. Really nice truck. So I'm going to try to buy as much time as I can to put that off at least a year, at least 6 months to a year. Because I don't want to be dipping into my reserves, what we need to live on. But that would probably be it. We'll join a gym right away. She's excited for that, and that's really about most of what we might need to do. I don't think I need to buy a new motorcycle. Mine's running fantastic. I don't know what that's gonna. I'm still in very good shape to be riding a motorcycle. This kind of motorcycle. It's a dirt bike, but I could see myself eventually buying one of those big, fatter mopeds, the big fat luxury type mopeds, just more comfortable seating and easier. But I don't want to get rid of my motorbike. I'm just going to delay those purchases as much as possible. But I know God's going to be one of the first things she's going to do is start talking about a car when we go back, and we don't need it. We can deal with one car. She was talking about 2. I'm like, no way. Why do we need 2 cars? We have one person. I don't need the car. And we share, we manage. It's such a waste of money. But I don't know, there's something reassurance she gets about having a car. It's really weird. So Yeah, that's all. I've been thinking about that. The stock market is at all-time highs. I'm up. I can't believe what I'm up. I am where my portfolio is currently. It's June 12th. My portfolio is now sitting. Has reached where I thought I would be by the end of the year. I can't believe it. It's huge. It's more than 20% return already, and we're not even halfway through the year. So I don't know if this is sustainable. I'm not sure. It's all this. The AI train is not over. I mean, the AI train investments that companies are doing, it's just starting. And fortunately, you always feel like you buy late, but apparently that's not the case. And the portfolio is doing amazing. So I can't believe I am already at what I was hoping to be at by the end of the year. I'm already there. So I'm really excited. I think it will pop at some point. I don't think it can continue, but fortunately, for the most part, I'm in the green. All my stocks except for 2. But anyway, I'll let it go there. I don't want this to be such a long clip, but we're getting close to the end of the week. This is choice of winding down chronicles of an expat going into early retirement. Talking about the challenges of work, the thought processes, the things I need to worry about. Yesterday I did start looking at more closely at analyzing insurance options. I'll probably do a little more detailed video of what the options I'm looking at. I am using chatgbt to analyze the options. It's really great. I mean, having that conversation with chatgbt, you see things differently. And I'm looking at inpatient with probably not with a deductible. It's looking like the deductible, the difference is not that much to just go with 0 deductible. I mean, you'd have, unless you're really strict on your budget, unless you really have a very limited budget, it almost doesn't seem worth it. When looking at, if I have to go in for hospitalization, just to know everything's taken care of, versus nickeling and diming with the insurance company to pay that deductible first. I just don't. I think it might not be worth it, unless you really are on a tight budget. I'm going to continue thinking about this, but it also looks like it's going to be much more reasonable than I expected. The downside is all of my outpatient is going to be out of pocket. So any doctor visits, examinations, and dental, and all of that's going to be out of pocket. And that's where I need to make sure I have a good reserve to be ready to pay that, and not to be taking out of my, I think what I'm going to do is probably keep a bucket just for outpatient stuff. And then every year replenish that so that it's covering what I'm guessing is my minimum. An outpatient would be supplements, and so I need to make sure I have a pretty good reserve for that. She goes to the pharmacy a lot, and I'm not sure what she's buying, but she always has like a little bag of medicines. So if I have an ailment or something, she knows what to give me. It's hysterical. It's amazing. She's got this bag just piled with all these different medications in there, and she'll just pull out. She knows what I need. Well, her parents have a pharmacy in their village, so I guess that's probably where she gets it, and she carries this around everywhere she goes. I think it's a little over the top, but I'm not sick that often. Anyway, all right, let's take it easy. Friday the 13th. Ooh, Friday the 13th, June 2025. So we're nearing the end of my week 28 on my countdown. 28 out of 30 weeks left in the year. 28 weeks until I will stop working. I'm pretty sure that's going to happen. We still don't have any conclusion to our funding situation, but I think it's becoming more and more inevitable. And you know what? Things happen throughout the week and things hit the news that just make me more and more realize that I don't want to spend my life like this. I want to stop working. I want to spend my life the way I want to spend it. And that doesn't include sitting in an office, working in difficult environments with difficult people. It's just not worth it anymore. It's not worth it anymore. I don't get, I think what we do, again, the work that we do is very good. Oh, look what we have here. Is that the same guy? How am I gonna get him? Dude, you keep... Let me see if I can rescue him. I gotta get the stick. Get the stick. Where's the stick, somebody? Oh. All right, I got a stick. I got the stick. This almost looks like the same bird. Could it be the same bird? Let's see. Wow, I'm gonna be either saving a different one or a new one. He looks similar. Let's see if I can get him without damaging his wings. He's tired. Yeah, he's saturated. Poor guy. What are you doing in there, man? I wonder if you're the same guy that was here last week. Same one I saved last week. He's pooped. He's tired. Look at that. He's tired. Oh, poor guy. Yeah, you get some rest. You just relax. How'd you fall in there? So, my second bird save of the week, or in the past 2 weeks. I'll check on him later. He can't even move. He's completely saturated. So this is part of the reason why I am. Some of the reason I want to. My thoughts were thrown off. Some of the reason I want to retire is, life is just so short. Yesterday the news, the a Boeing plane in India. Air India, I believe, took off and then immediately crashed into some houses, and every life was lost. And these are people probably going to holiday. I think the flight was heading to London, going to holiday or coming back from holiday, and just your life can end just so quickly. You want to be doing it. You want to be doing something that's. First of all, I think God directed, you want to make sure your life is in line with God, and because it can go, and I just always remember my mother. She was living a simple life, just entered in retirement, and trying to, going to visit her husband in the hospital or in the home, and then on the way home, on a safe road. Perfect time of day, 3 in the afternoon, the safest time of day. Roads hardly driven, especially during the day. And she was hit by a drunk driver. How random is that? How random is that? And her life ended. And she was a super careful driver. She never drove in the rain, never drove in bad weather, never drove at night, never. And super ultra safe woman, and just entered into retirement, going on 80. She was only in retirement a couple years, going on 80, and visiting her husband, doing the wife thing, and killed. And she had 10-15 years of life for her, and that I've been motivated to retire since 2020. And it was before COVID. COVID didn't do it. It was before COVID. And I just started getting, because I wasn't enjoying my job, I was bored, and I was just thinking, I don't want to be doing this my whole life. I finally have a home. I finally have a lifetime partner, and we want to be, we're living away from our home here in Bangkok, and I want to be with my wife. And every day I know her more, the more I want to be with her, as much as possible. And that's why, so this is a kind of quiet quitting day. I'm home with her. I'm working today. So this is my version of quiet quitting. I do check on my job and my work, but I'll come down here during the day and I'll make a video and I'll get some sun while I can, and on an overcast day, so these people going on holiday and probably going home from holiday, and done. That's it. We just never know when our number's up. None of it makes sense. We don't know how God works. We just have to trust that we're always in His will, always ready to go when that time, that's part of His plan. I'm sorry for those people, families who, the hard part is for the people who are left behind and have to deal with the pain. And I know I still deal with the pain of losing my mother. And I just, this is just motivation enough for me to say, okay, I'm not retiring with a lot of money, and I'm gonna have to make it work. God's gonna have to make it work. I feel like He will. I could have been in a better position financially a long time ago, but I'm not. I have what I have, and I'm just gonna have to make it work. And I will make it work. So I talk about, maybe I'll do consulting or something if it comes up. If it doesn't, that's fine. I will be busy enough, and the way I want to spend the rest of my life, I want to spend my life with my wife as much as possible. We really enjoy her. Speaking of my wife, she's finally getting excited about the wedding that we're planning toward the end of the year. She's getting really excited about. She's showing me wedding dresses now. She said she wanted to keep it small, and that's what she says, but it never ends up that way. I think she's going to get a little carried away, and in some ways, I want it to stay small. I hope she does keep it small. I hope she does keep it budget friendly, but I know we have waited our entire lives. Neither of us have been married. She's 45. I'm mid 50s. It's a good age range. But I do want her to have something special. So I'm gonna let her do what she wants to do, and hopefully it doesn't go. I just try to keep it a little bit in check. And my sisters are looking into flying over to see us for it. They're very excited. They know we're legally married, but we just wanted to have a Christian wedding in a church that means something to us, surrounded by a lot of mostly Daz. It's going to be mostly Daz Christian friends, her Christian network, and her community here on the street. She's telling everybody. It's really cute how quickly people are drawn to her and adore her. That's what I said. If you end up, if for some reason you yell at Daz or my wife for something, there's something wrong with you, because there's no reason to yell at her about anything. She's the most adorable person and most caring person I know. So that's the big news for today. So it is a Quiet Quitting Friday. I have a Lao lesson. I am making progress on my Lao. I listen to audio files all throughout the day. Well, not throughout the day. Usually in the evening for about 45 minutes to an hour. And today I do have a lesson, a reading lesson. I like the style of this. I'm reading Simple Lao, and at a pace where the lady corrects me. So I'm learning the grammar as I go rather than just learning grammar. I'm learning how to speak, read, and understand the vocabulary as one unit, not piecemeal like you learn in school. Like you learn in school is really questionable, I think. So I think that was all I was going to talk about this morning. So yeah, it's a Friday afternoon. It's a Friday. Oh, that was the other thing I was going to quick talk about, the credit card challenge. So the 13th of each month is when I start my new cycle on my credit card. So it ended yesterday. I was able to keep it roughly around my target of about 40,000 baht a month. So I still like to come in at under that, but I had to get what I got, and I only got the essentials that I needed in the past week. So today I just made another big purchase of food. I'm glad I waited. A big purchase of meat. So I spent about almost 8,000 baht, which would be about $250 on some meat at Paleo Robbie, and it's on sale. So that's a bonus, you know. So if you save $1 or $2 per piece of meat, I mean that's pretty good, especially for this imported stuff. And I bought some unusual pieces only because they were significantly on sale. I think almost like 900 baht off per steak. Some of the steaks in there are like 2,000 to 3,000 baht a piece. I don't spend that much, but this the two pieces I bought were O'Connor light, something light, first light grass-fed steaks, and there were two T-bones for about 1,100 baht each, but they were on sale from 1,900 baht, so about 800 to 900 baht each off discount. So I grabbed two of those. So it's pricey, but I like the steaks in the 300 to 500 baht range. So that's about anywhere from $10 to $15. So yeah, so we ordered that, and that's good. Just good timing that everything was on sale, and I'll be getting that on Monday. So that was the only thing I was going to add today. Hey everybody, it's about an hour later since I saved the bird. He's doing a little better. He looked like earlier he was collapsing a little bit, and now he's standing back up a little bit more. Boy, he must have been in the water a long time. He is totally wiped out. But okay, it's going on noon, and it looks like some storm is gonna come in. I love when the clouds look like this over the city line. So I'm gonna have to go out, do some work. And I just got wind of, I just got notice that Israel sent missiles into Iran. That's vaguely what I am aware of. So this is not good. This is not good. No war is ever good. I don't know what provoked it, but yeah, we'll see what happens. That's going to send the stock market crashing probably today on a Friday 13th. How ironic, it's Friday 13th. And the other news is, oh, here comes the rain. So yeah, it's good timing. I'm gonna have to go up. And the other news related to the market, I don't understand Trump. I heard that he just sent out a tweet. He said, you know what they call people who tweet? Twats. But he just sent out, I wish someone would curb his impulsivity. He's so immature. I just cannot understand what he thinks he's doing. He sent out an insult to the chair of the Federal Reserve, Jerome Powell, calling him a numbskull. He's been calling him names ever since he became president. You know, like too late, Powell, or because he's not lowering the interest rates. But he just sent out another thing calling him a numbskull. I can't. It's embarrassing for any politician, regardless of what country you're from. It's embarrassing to see that. It looks like he's made a little bit of an amend with Tesla, with Elon Musk. But this stuff, I just don't understand. This kind of petty name calling. The bird is starting to move a little bit. I don't want to scare him because if he jumps through those holes, he's going for a long crash to the floor, to the concrete outside, 6 floors down. All right, take care, everybody. So there's my little friend. He didn't go anywhere. I guess he's still wet, but he's pooping everywhere. I hope they don't try to hurt him. You never know. Looks like he's still pretty wet. It's an overcast day. So this is about 4 or 5 hours, no, 3, 4 hours since I rescued him from the water, but at least it looks like he's walking around. He just still needs to dry out. His wings are still way too wet. Poor guy. Well, I'm happy to see you're still okay. Hey everybody, how's it going today? It's a Saturday, June 14th. It's going on noon. I can't believe I have the pool to myself right now. It's a bit cloudy, overcast in Bangkok. There were some kids out here this morning, but most of the people, they tend to avoid the pool during the when it's hottest, but it's not hot at all. The pool's even cold right now. Anyway, I want to wrap up this week 28 out of 30. So 27 weeks remaining starting tomorrow. Very exciting. It's fun to do a countdown when you're looking forward to something, and this thing I'm looking forward to is what I'm expecting to be the end of my working career, at least as a full-time person. I don't know what's going to happen in 2026, but it's okay. It's in God's hands. So this has been a big week. Some of it's very discouraging. You know, when I look at weeks like this, you know, I think, man, what's going to happen in this world? You know, you just see all this chaos happening. Israel just sent missiles to Iran. Iran's threatening or is threatening to attack back if they haven't already. I try not to follow the news, but some of the news comes to me inadvertently. I don't seek it out, but I do end up seeing some of it, you know, and it does come up in some of my work conversations. But it's just, oh man, you know, and the Ukraine war is still going on, and you know, now the riots in the U.S. You know, that it seems like it's every summer, especially when Trump's president. There are riots, and you know, I don't want to get political. You know, I have my political views and opinions, just as everybody else does. Just as like everybody else has an a-hole, everybody has an opinion. But I don't want this to be a political channel. But I will only just say, if you belong to a political party and your political party is urging you to violence and prompting you to protest and violence, there's something wrong with you. There's something wrong with that political party. But if you're prompted to go to be violent, to destroy other people's lives and even murder people and kill people, and just because you disagree with them, there's something wrong with you, and I think you need to get it checked out. You need God. It's just awful. I can't believe what I'm hearing. And again, I don't subject myself to a lot of the news. I try to stay outside of it. I don't watch any of the mainstream news channels, but you know, it does come back to me in some form or another. I'm mostly interested in business and finance news, financial stock market, and just business and self-development and personal development. So I don't seek out that kind of news. I don't seek out the conspiracy theorists and stuff, but you can't help it but hear about it. It's just awful. You know, when you think about times like these, you know, you're like, how can there be a future? How can there be a future with people and mankind and humankind and just moving forward? You know, you just wonder what all of this, what does it mean? You know, when I look out here in the street, you know, it's pretty peaceful, but when you see all this chaos happening in other parts of the world, you just wonder when is it going to come here? You know, I've been in places where it's chaotic. You know, there's war. I've worked in places like that, and it's awful. You know, the curfews, the lack of resources, the constantly waking up and, you know, going to sleep with the threat of being attacked and being kidnapped, or, you know, things like that. You know, and people are living like that on a daily basis. You know, I work with organizations that, you know, serve people like this, and, you know, I'm talking about it all constantly at office, you know, with certain groups of people that I'm working that we target as far as with our programs, you know, to help them in their issues. I just wonder what, you know, I'm talking about retirement, and I'm like, what is that going to look like? You know, at what point will that come to my back door? You know, I usually have gone to these places where there's these problems, but I've not really been in circumstances where it's come to me, you know, where you're actually living it. And I just wonder, at what point will that happen? You know, will nuclear war and war and invasions and riots and stuff just appear? You know, I lived like that in Haiti many years. You know, there'd be a riot every other week. You know, and I just learned to live with it. But I didn't go seeking it. You know, I've driven through riots on my motorcycle. I've been stoned, weaving in and out of burning tires. I've been stoned while I'm riding my motorcycle, meaning someone threw a stone at me. I'm not stoned, but I've been stoned by people throwing rocks, and it's an awful just way to live, you know. And I just, you know, Revelation, the Bible talks about this. This is what's going to happen. The world's just going to end up in complete chaos. And the only answer to that is Jesus. The only answer, the only guarantee you're going to have is the one that you make when you accept Christ to go to heaven. You know, every day we don't know when it's going to be our last day, so we just want to make the best of it and make it something worthwhile. You know, that's our legacy. Well, I just went off on a tangent there that I didn't expect to, but it's just, you know, despite the discouraging week, you know, I did hear Elon and Trump, they kissed and made up in a way. You know, I think it was Elon who went unhinged. Giving credit where it's due, you know, Trump did seem to hold his tongue. And he's pretty, he airs his baggage, his emotional instability in public, but this time it seemed like he held back on what he would have liked to have said to Elon. So it looks like Elon was the one that went off the rails there. Good kudos for Trump if he was restraining himself, which he normally doesn't do, at least especially publicly, especially if someone attacks him. What else happened this week? So personally, some good news. My wife got her pap smear back. She went. They had a high. She was diagnosed as a high risk a couple years ago, about 3 years ago, for HVI or something. HVI, I think it is. I don't understand what it is. But they've been. So she went to a full examination a couple years ago, and then they said, well, they wanted to remove part of something in her to remove what looked like a risky, the beginnings of what could be some type of cancer, cervical cancer. So they did that. That was a couple years ago, and so every year she goes back for her pap smear. It was 6 months the first 2 years, and now it's every year. And now, 2 days ago we got the results. Thank God. She is at low risk now, and it looks like she only needs to go back to checking every year or every other year. I don't know. I need to look into that. I need to check with my sisters what that's all about, and know if I know the doctors will. You know, they're going to have you coming back. You got to keep paying for all these tests, but is it necessary now that she's They diagnosed her as low risk for. So I checked her her results last year, they were high risk, no results, no indication. Now they checked it as low risk, no indication. So I think she got a clearance there. So we probably don't need to do it every year. Ladies, if there's any ladies watching this, I'd appreciate you give me any kind of feedback in the comments, what to look for, and how I should manage this with her, because next year we won't have insurance, and so not that would stop me from getting her tests, but is it overkill to keep checking every year at this point? She hates the process. I guess every woman probably does. But we will lose our insurance, our outpatient insurance next year, and I probably won't pay for insurance except for inpatient. I'm looking at that this week. Speaking of insurance, I have a few quotes from a few different providers. Right now, it looks like I'm looking at a company called Vumi and another company called Now. I was looking at Cigna, but Cigna doesn't give evacuation insurance. I don't know if that would be necessary, but I live in Laos, and the medical services there are not very good. So if you need a medical evacuation, that's could cost. I saw it could cost anywhere from $25,000 to $50,000. If you want to pay that out of pocket, but the chances are extremely rare. But you're not paying for the chances of it happening, or you're paying for if that one chance in a million something does happen where you want to get out, you need to get medical services. You want to have that. So that's what I'm evaluating now. I got a couple months, I think. We still have no news about funding of our organization, future funding for our biggest program. We're planning that we won't have it at this point. We're planning for different variations of funding, different levels of funding, but for the most part, we need to play it safe and pretty much guarantee and count on that we're not going to get it. And so that means I will lose my job within the next 6 months now. I'm checking to see if that bird came back. I think that might be him over there, because I came down last night. I saved the bird from the water yesterday, and I came down last night. I came down in the afternoon. He was still there, just hovering. Had a bunch of piles of poop, and I think that might be him over there. Maybe someone picked him up and put him up on the wall. Let's see if that could be him. If he's not recovered, maybe someone put him on the wall, up out of the way. I don't know. But at least he's not flying away. So that was good news. I had a pretty easy week. I'm practicing my quiet quittings. I worked at home for a couple days, getting some pool, getting some sun, doing some videos, really taking that time. Not taking the time to practice quiet quitting and wind down my time. So I was also reading 2 Kings 15 and 16 today, and it's a bunch of kings. It's just listing a bunch of kings. One king, Jehoram, I don't remember the name, but one of them, out of like 5 of the kings that were listed in these chapters, only one of them did right in the sight of the Lord, except he didn't take down the high places. They keep referring to the high places, and I guess that means the high places were places of worship for other idolatry, but not necessarily in the temple. So he did right what's inside of the Lord, except for taking down the high places, which I think he was supposed to do. One of the kings did take down the high places at one point, but most of them don't. So I think it's just that alternative worship to idols and other gods. He just permitted it. And then one of the kings, they said they're just talking about all the wars. One of the kings, they said he did awful things. I don't remember the name, some strange name, and he ripped out the unborn children from pregnant women. That's how they put it. He ripped out the unborn children of women in one of the raids and one of the wars that he had. I mean, they don't go into the detail, but just, I don't know how they could do stuff like that. I don't know how you can mutilate someone like that, whether you like them or not. And then, but Ahaziah, and it kind of ended. 2 Kings 16, I believe, ended on a decent note. Ahaziah, he did right what's inside of the Lord, except he did tick the Lord off at some point. What he did was he brought some worldly things into the temple, and it really displeased God. He did something in the temple that really displeased God. And God punished him for that. And what I extract from that is, we're supposed to be exception in the world. We're not supposed to let the world influence us. We're not supposed to bring things into our lives that are worldly. We're supposed to be the example to the world of how to live, how to be. And hopefully we're doing that in a godly way that represents him. I know I would often tell anybody, don't take my example. I'm a terrible example. I try, and every day more and more I ask God to help me represent him well. And I know I probably fail. I don't know. I mean, but it does remind me to say, you can't look at other people as the example. You can only look at God. And I was just looking at, I just finished reading John, so it's the last of the Gospels today, where Jesus came to his disciples several times. He appeared to the disciples and to hundreds and hundreds of people several times. And he, the last verses in John was where his main disciples were back fishing on the boats. And they saw a man on the beach, and Peter jumped out of John recognized it as Jesus. Peter jumped out of the boat and swam to him with his fully clothed. That's how Peter was, very zealous. And and they ended up having lunch, breakfast. Jesus started making breakfast, and it just shows you how much God is interested in every little detail of our life. He's sitting there making breakfast, or started a fire so that they could cook some fish and have breakfast together. And how food and dining and people and the discussions were so important to God. So Jesus said to Peter, do you love me? 3 times. And by the 3rd time, Peter was reminded. I mean, we like to think that he was reminded about the 3 times that he denied Jesus right before he was crucified. And he gave an opportunity for Peter. He was very gentle with him. Do you love me? And he said, yes, I do. And then he said, feed my sheep. And he said that 3 times to him. And Jesus ended up, it was just how gentle Jesus was. Jesus could have been angry with Peter, but he wasn't. He took Peter from where he was. He understood where he was, and he forgave him. And Peter ended up becoming one of the people who were one of the disciples that was violently crucified upside down because of that. Because his love for Jesus grew stronger after Jesus was gone. So I think part of what I want to say is, we get burned out at work. We get burned out from the frustrations of the day, and there's 3 things that we need to do so that we can avoid being burned out. We need to believe in God, that He is all encompassing. He knows everything. He's omniscient. Everything is happening for a reason. We need to depend on God, know that we cannot do anything outside of Him, and then we need to trust Him to know that He knows our future. He knows what we need in our lives, and He knows what we He knows our future. He knows what we're going to need, and we don't. We don't know when our lives will end, and we just need to trust every day in Him to provide for what we need until the day that we don't need it. And again, some of these examples from this week with the airline from India crashing, all those people going on vacation or going home from vacation died. I saw a news article where one of the people, there's a picture of a family, an Indian family who were relocating to the UK for a new start. The man is taking a selfie with his wife and the 3 kids right before takeoff, and they're gone. Whole family of 5 wiped out. And they were so excited for this new future, and it's gone. I just hope to God they were in the right place in their faith. So just be ready. I think so. I'll end that here. Be ready, trust in God, believe in God, and depend on God for everything that comes in your lifetime, and so that you always be ready for when your number is up. It's hard to know how to put that sometimes. Death, is your number up, or is it God's will? It's God's will for when you do end up dying, and how you die. Nothing makes sense. We just have to trust God that it will make sense one day, and we just might not know it right now. So I'm going to end that this week, the week 28, and start afresh starting tomorrow. Just a quick note. So the credit card challenge, I ended pretty well. Again, it was roughly around 40,000 Thai baht, outside of medical bills that will be reimbursed. But I did have to make some purchases yesterday for food and some supplies for the house. I think I'm going to do a video on how much I spend in a month. I think that's always interesting to see how people spend their money and what things cost. And it's interesting, not to compare, but it's interesting. I might do a video like that on a monthly basis as part of my chronicling, because I think one day I'm going to look back on this and really be happy to see what my thoughts were at these times. And hopefully you find it interesting as well. If you don't, that's okay. But I would appreciate, if you like it or not like it, give me a thumbs up. Hey, what's up everybody? I'm going to do one more last video as I'm thinking about it. It's a Saturday, it's the 14th of June. Just finished having a nice shrimp and egg dinner. My wife is a lovely cook. And I came down here, I'm in the gym myself. Usually there's several people, but maybe because it's a Saturday, no one's in here today. So I'm doing my stretching, my evening stretching. I'm telling you, the older you get, the more you need to stretch and stay flexible. Besides keeping the weight off and keeping your strength up, stretching and keeping your hips mobile is one of the best things you can do as you go, especially from what I've seen from my parents and older people. Your hips start like rusting and gathering rust and calcifying and becoming less mobile. So, sorry, I don't mean to give you a crotch shot, but just to show you what I'm doing here. This is one of the best workout pieces of equipment I have. You strap this onto your foot, and then you just hold. You hold the stretch, and I do this for about 10 minutes a day. And every time, especially when it gets my Achilles, it gets my calf strings, my hamstrings, my groin, and then my, what do you call that on the side of your leg? Every time I do a video, I forget the words. I forget how to speak. So anyway, I guess the more, I gotta stop saying anyway. It's really stupid. So anyway, so I just wanted to end on a thought that I had. It was from a video of a guy that I watch. He talks about the economy, and he's a good source. He talks about taxes. You know, he's talking about U.S. policy and the economics and investing. But he's talking, I believe he's right. You know, we're looking at a stock market that's hitting all-time highs, even on an economy that's not doing very great right now. And, you know, it's since the Trump tariffs, you know, there was a dip in the Trump tariffs. Actually, there was a major correction back in right at the beginning of April. Major correction. I think the S&P was down around 10%, and then the NASDAQ was down almost 15%, almost entering into bear market territory. But it was an opportunity to buy good investments, make good investments, buy stock at good prices, good valuations. And I took advantage of that. Unfortunately, I didn't have as much money as I wish I should have. I was a little too aggressive earlier in the year, and I could have been in a better position, but I'm quite happy with where I'm at. Anyway, it looks like the market is dipping again since the missile strikes in Israel and Iran. I think the market might start dipping again there too. We still don't have full information on what the Trump tariffs are going to look like, even though there is some discussions. But anyway, this guy is talking about the great melt up, and I think he's right. You know, when you look back on history in the market, it just goes up and to the right. And I am always wondering, where does all this money come from? And all the money comes from supposedly economic growth, but also money printing, inflation, you know, the cost of living going up, you know. And if you go into a recession, that's when the government starts printing money also, which adds to more money in the market. And, you know, there's no, you know, keeping money in a bank account, unless it's just purely for an emergency. You know, you need a high yield savings account. But he's talking about a great money melt up, that, you know, spending is just going to increase. I don't think Trump's not going to decrease the budget the way he says he's going to. He'll probably increase it. Every president since the beginning of the United States, the budget has always gone up. And one day it's going to pop. But I think that might at least be, this guy's theory, it's not my own, but I think he's on point. You know, it might be at least another 10 more years. So what's going to happen is, you know, you're going to have little dips in the market, maybe 10%. And if you don't take advantage of that, if you don't overcome the fear of a market dip, you're going to miss out. And you have AI coming into play that's going to be adding to the economy. And I think the investment in AI is just started. I mean, we're barely in the first inning. And I think the next decade, this is like the Industrial Revolution all over with AI. And, you know, everybody thinks it's a bubble, and I don't think so. I think it is the future. AI is going to be running, you know, robotics, AI, automation. It's going to be running the world. And I don't know what that's going to look like, but if you don't get in now, you're going to miss out. And you might make it, you know, even if you get it, you still only invest, maybe you're only convinced by inning 2 or 3. But at least that's still better than waiting till inning 8 and 9 when you miss the whole run up. So anyway, his idea is the budget's never going to go down. The budget's just going to keep increasing. They're going to keep printing more money. And where's this money going to go? You don't want to stick it in a bank account, and you don't want to stick it in your mattress, theoretically. But you want to invest it, and the only place you're going to stay ahead of inflation is in the stock market. So my advice is, this is not financial advice, but my advice to myself is stay invested. Don't be afraid of any market dips. If you have any extra money, throw it into the market. Put it into good investments. If you're not putting it into ETFs, the S&P 500 or the Nasdaq, then you want to put it into very solid companies, because the FANG, or the new what do they call it, the Magnificent Seven, but a couple other companies. Those are the ones that they're going to dominate over the next 5-10 years, even more. If you're not in, you're going to miss out. So anyway, that was my last thought of the week. This is Troy's of Winding Down Chronicles of Next Pack, going into early retirement. I'm not retired yet, but I'm getting there, and I'm very excited. This is the end of week 28. Take care, everybody. God bless, and take it slow.